Welcome back, Naughty Nation. I am really excited for this video on how to make concrete look like wood. We partnered with Design Crete DIY, and we've got Mitzi in Las Vegas with this class showing us how to do it step by step. Check this out.
The Naughty Artisan.
The square footage coverage per box depends on how you apply it, but you can bank on between 100 to 150 square feet per box. When you're setting up your mix station, you want to protect things around you because it can splash out.
Okay.
I always have a bucket with water in it so that I can clean my drill right after mixing. This stuff that'll dry pretty fast to your tools.
Okay.
So bucket of water, and then I've got 5 quarts of water in this bucket. But that's too much, actually. The most amount of water you want to mix per box is 4 quarts. So we start with 3 quarts and then mix a little bit of the micro in, mix it up real good, and then add the rest of this. And then you can add a little bit more, up to 4 quarts. So right here is, yeah, it's close. All right, so first I'll add about 3 quarts of water. Now, you want to do all your mixing outside. Anytime you're mixing powders, you want to wear a mask. All right, so we're mixing up our base coat. We're going to tint our base coat black. So first what we're doing is we're adding 3 quarts of water to the bucket, and then we'll add our whole package of base coat, tint, to the water, and then we'll mix up the tint into the water. This has a handy dandy little thingy. So go ahead and pour that in the bucket. And the tints are pre-measured, so it's 1 bag of tint per box. Thank you. And now you can mix that up with the drill. That's probably fine, just like that. And then I can hold the drill for you. And then pour in half of the box of texture.
Half, you said?
Half the box, yep. And so the reason we do it this way is so that none of the powder gets stuck to the side. It'll be a real watery mix at first. Perfect.
It looks like 5/8.
So with all that dust flying around, it's a good idea to wear a mask. Can you see it? Do you want to get closer?
It's very watery, huh?
Yeah. You want to help, or somebody want to help pour it in?
Now, am I going to end up dumping the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing. There you go.
Basically, you're baking a cake.
Yeah, exactly like baking a cake.
Just a little bit of flour.
Just no eggs.
No eggs, a little bit of flour.
Can you get the squirt bottle?
Full water?
Yeah. You can just dump it. Beautiful.
Oh, no one's ever called me that before. You said a box has about 200 square feet.
1 to 150.
1 to 150. No, we was making chocolate pancakes. Exactly. What about my appetite?
All right, so he definitely needs more water. And add a little bit more.
Now, what do we want this to be consistency of?
We want this to be the consistency of pancake batter.
Okay. So I did have the right idea with making chocolate pancakes.
Yeah.
All right.
Give him a little bit more. little bit more. So you can always add water, you can't take it out. So just add tiny, tiny bits.
Yeah, it's gonna say there's no more powder to add.
Yeah.
When I make pancakes, I'm like, oh, too much water, just add more pancakes.
I've done that, and then you make 50 pancakes for 2 people. Beautiful. Now you can just leave your drill in the mix. We're gonna wait 5 minutes, and that's gonna let all the sand hydrate. So the sand's gonna soak up the water, and it takes about 5 minutes. So we'll just wait. So you can demask and breathe.
Good idea on what to do.
Yeah, so you can, if you want to take the drill and kind of like spin it around, see how it looks like before the 5-minute mix break. And also what I like to do while the drill is off is I'll scrape it around the sides because you can really feel, yeah, there's one little chunk
side
there.
over here, and
Yeah.
it's hard to get it all.
When the drill's off, it's easier to feel. So just make sure there's no dry powder in there. All right, in 5 minutes that should be a little bit thicker, and we'll probably add a little bit more water. And I still have that much water left. I could add it up to that much. I usually don't add the whole 4 quarts. If it's a really hot day or dry day, I'll add more water. Oh yeah, feel that.
You can just see it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna apply it like that?
No, so if you would have not waited the 5 minutes, you would have poured out your puddle and it would have set up on you.
Yeah.
So it's important to wait those 5 minutes. So now that there's no dust, we don't have to wear the mask, but we do need to mix a little bit more. Does anybody else want to mix? You want to try it?
I can try it.
Okay. I'll pour some water and you do the mixing. So after 5 minutes, can you see it real good? Okay, it's real thick. We're gonna add a little bit at a time.
Well, that's got a trigger, doesn't it?
Yeah. Add a little bit more. More water. That's some thick pancakes. Let's go a little bit more.
I can't get my throttle right. I mean, I
That looks
get
really
my
good.
throttle right.
Yeah, that one's a little jumpy.
Yeah.
All right, that looks super good. So that's done. Just go ahead and stick the drill in the bucket of water and turn it on, and that'll clean the drill.
Now I figured it out.
Nice. Okay, so now we're gonna coat this. We have primed this with tile primer specific for tile. So it's not gonna be porous like concrete is, so we're not gonna use very much water. On a patio, you would use either a hose or like a pump up sprayer because you'll use a lot of water. So because we're just gonna use a tiny bit, I'm just gonna spray it with this guy. I'm gonna start back here and show you how to use the magic trowel, and then you guys will jump on and try it. So you just want it moist and not puddly. Yeah. So if your concrete gets puddly because you added too much water, what will happen is all the polymers in the mix will rise to the top, and it'll be like a cream. That's not going to take the stain the same. So that's why it's real important to avoid puddles. If you get puddles, just give it a minute or spread it out with a broom or something. When you're doing this, you want to do little areas at a time. You don't want to pour out your whole bucket because it'll set up before you can spread it. So just pour out a little bit. So this is already thickened up a little bit since we mixed it. So the base coat, the goal is for it to just be smooth and flat. And then if you get any chunks or like lines from your magic trowel, so like see how it drips? If you don't smooth it out, you can always sand it off later. But the smoother you get it, the less sanding you do. I'm gonna kind of cut in my little edge here. but it's exactly like icing a giant cake. So I'll kind of pull this bead next to my edge, and then you can pull it back to the edge like this. But after about 5 minutes of pushing this stuff around, you kind of get in your groove of how you like to apply it. There's no real important technique to it. Just try to get it even and coated. On an exterior patio where it's porous, the concrete's sucking the water down while you're applying, and so you have to move a little bit faster. In here, it'll stay wet for a long time. Usually when you're installing this, you have one person doing water and one person spreading. When I sand, I use a 30 grit rubbing stone. Yeah, it's kind of like a pumice stone. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention when we were mixing, on a concrete patio, you want to pre-soak the concrete before you start mixing. That way all that water starts soaking in. Then you won't spray as much when you're installing it. I soak it with a soaker. Like I flood it. By the time I'm done mixing, it's all soaked in.
So how many coats do we have on this? We'll have our base coat and another one on top of this?
Yes, so we'll have, well, you might have a primer coat, that's optional.
Which we have.
Yes, and then there's the base coat, then there's the texture coat, then there's 2 coats of stain, and then 2 coats of sealer. Good question. Is there a maximum thickness? Yes. If you put it too thick, it can crack. So it's recommended to be a 1/4 inch or less. You don't want to build it up real tall. It's the gauge. Yeah. Exactly. So the sand in the mix is the gauge. So that's why if you hear the sand, then you're putting it down right. If it's too thick, you won't hear anything. You won't hear that scraping. It's if you get it like on the house or something, it's best to wipe it off right away while it's wet. It just takes a minute. Just give yourself a second. You'll get it. So it wipes off real easy when it's wet. But also, if you come back the same day, like after 2 hours, 3 hours, it'll scrape right off. It's still super soft after 2 or 3 hours, but you can still walk on it.
The base coat's super soft?
Yeah, so both coats, the base coat and texture coat, they take like 10 to 12 hours to really set up hard. So you have some time.
The Texas time though, like here we're real dry.
That is Texas time.
Gotcha, because you guys are real humid.
But also, I've done these in New York and it was the same thing. So it takes a little bit longer to dry, maybe 4 hours in a colder climate. And it's not even a big deal if you leave it kind of, there's marks and stuff, because actually leave some of these on purpose so that we can show. That won't be a problem. We'll show you how easy that is to render.
Go in a line, go like this.
All right, now the tools, the stuff will dry on the tools in like 10, 20 minutes, so we always clean them off immediately. Yeah, so that bucket of water we had in the mix station, that's where we clean our tools. So he had a good question earlier about the depth that you want. So sometimes when he pulls this trowel over, you don't hear the scraping, so it's too thick. You want to hear the aggregate hitting the trowel. The aggregate is the gauge. Okay, so it's been about an hour of this drying. It is all one uniform color, so we know that it's safe to scrape it and stone it. We left some imperfections on purpose just so that we could see how easy it is to scrape and stone it. This is the stone. It's called a couple different things. At Home Depot, you'll find it in the concrete tools. This one's called a rubbing brick. Sometimes it's a mason stone, and it's a 30 grit pumice type thing. So what I usually do on a patio is I'll scrape off the big chunks first with something like this. This is a floor scraper. If you don't want to buy one of these, you could scrape it off with your trowel or like a little 4-inch razor blade, something like that. But basically. It just comes right off like that. I don't have any pressure on it. It's not hard to get them off. So you don't have to worry too much when you're putting down your base coat.
Wow, that came off
It's super easy.
Using the weight of the tool.
Yeah, and it's only an hour old, so it's pretty soft still. So you don't have to be too careful when you're putting your base coat down. And then, once I get like the big chunks off, if there's anything else left, I'll use this guy. And I'll just lightly rub over it. And it just takes it down just a little bit more. Yeah. And it just takes all the chunkies. So maybe that guy. And we're still putting a texture coat over this, so it doesn't need to be perfectly smooth. We just don't want any like big chunks that might mess up our texturing. So just getting the big things off, just like that. And then you would blow it off or vacuum it if you're indoors. And then you can start mixing your texture coat. So there's 2 of these. You guys can try it and see how easy it is. So there's like literally no pressure with putting down the base coat well. Yeah. Now if you wait till the next day and do this, then you have to like really sand it. So yeah, it's still doable, but try to do it the same day. All right, so all we have to do is blow this off or vacuum it or something.
Like all the precision comes after this step right here. Like,
There's really no precision.
no, but I'm saying, but like, you know, this coat doesn't need to be pretty, like you said, you left
Yeah.
off, but I'm assuming when you do your design, you don't want extra designs in there or extra pattern.
If you're doing wood, like honestly, when you mess up a little bit or you drip something, it always looks better. It looks more like wood. So you don't even have to stress too much when you do the wood pattern. You'll see, it's super easy. So if we were on an outdoor patio, what I would do is spray this down so it can start soaking up with water while I mix my stuff.
Do we need to spray this with water?
No, because it'll never dry. Because it's not going to soak down into the concrete. Yeah. All right, so our base coat is completely dry. It's all the same color. We already sanded it. We blew off all the dust. We mixed our stuff. So before we coat it, I'm going to spray it with water. It's going to be very porous. It's going to soak in a lot of water. It's going to take quite a bit. Let's pretend like this is a big patio, this rectangle we're doing. In that case, what I would do is I would wet, and our wood grain's going to go this way, right? So I don't want to spray the whole patio. It'll dry over here before we ever get to it. So I'm only going to wet the part that we're working on. That way,
patio, would you use this or would you use a hose?
I would use a hose. If it's a tiny patio, like 100 square feet, I might use a pump-up sprayer instead of a hose. All right, so you want it pretty good and moist with no puddles. Just like we did on the samples, we're going to spread from one side of the patio all the way to the other side, and then broom it, and then you'll go to the next row, wet it, trowel it, broom it, and then you just go row by row. Right after. Yeah, you don't have much time. Remember, you don't have to make it pretty. And you can spray, start spraying the next line. Like cake batter? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was on an auto.
All right, now all that excess, just pull it back this way towards your next line and then let her in to broom it.
Pull this back too.
No, you can leave it, yeah, you can leave that there.
Sweep or one long drag?
One long drag.
Just like that.
She said said if you stop, you gotta start back at the beginning.
Yep. Perfect. Woo! Thinking we probably okay. Probably should have taped it a little bit further. Can you hand me that bag behind you? A place to put the stuff. Oh. Yeah. Bueno. Got a little dry right there.
So this is what we call the dance. Two people gotta, yeah. Make sure, you gotta make sure it's wet, you gotta make sure it's wet before you drag it, and then boom.
Make sure it's not puddly too, because then all of the polymers will float to the top.
So that sound, is that what we're looking for again? Polymers?
Yep. You'll get less of that sandy sound with the top coat because it has less sand. Yeah, smaller.
So no pressure, you're just...
Yep. She's doing perfect. See how the black is kind of showing through in streaks? Watch when we stain this. Ooh, boy.
I'm gonna have a bunch of extra.
We'll just have to scoop it up into the bucket with the trowel. I'll use this little metal trowel. So you can just put chunks like that too. And then when you scrape it off, that whole booger will come off at once. And then you have a knot. So that's one easy way to do it. Otherwise, you can put some tape on the end of a stick and just like dab them in. You can use your finger. There's a million ways to make knots. So
There's 4 of them here, let's all pull it out.
have at it.
Put a knot in.
Yeah, everyone put a knot in. Trick with knots is to not make them perfect circles.
I like mine.
Looks better on paper.
If you wanted to carve your names in, it's really easy to do it now, but you can also do it after it dries. Yeah.
You ever put a handprint in its day?
Hmm. I've had cats and dogs put their handprints in it and it stayed.
That's not cool.
Okay, so it's the next day. It's super dry. We're gonna scrape these little nuts that we did, sand it, and then we can start cutting it. And then we'll go over there and we'll cut our sample boards, do the same thing to our sample boards, and then we get to mix up the stain and do all the staining. Yeah, so with the scraper, just go with like...
Go with the grain?
Yeah, with the grain and like slight pressure just to see, and then if you need more pressure, add more pressure. Ooh, that actually came out really cool. Yeah. Then you can kind of like, if you need to. Oh yeah.
I have trouble with that home. It is.
I left all my shovels there when I moved.
I tell you, that's one thing I don't miss.
Nice.
Anyone else want to scrape a little? Give it a try.
You're doing great.
Perfect. That's what I do whenever I get to a spot that's stuck. I just kind of like a couple little ones.
Start back down there.
It doesn't matter. You can actually scrape across the grain if you need to.
Yeah, now the cable's just kind of in the way from
oh,
the
yeah.
good angle.
they get is good stuff.
So even though it's the next day, it's still doable. It's still soft enough to. I was a little worried it was going to be too hard, but since we're indoors, it's curing slower. And then we need that board. This is what we're using right here? Okay. And when you're scraping, you don't have to go from end to end like you do when we're texturing. You just do whatever. Yeah.
I tell you what.
Yeah. That one looks really cool. But on this edge here, it's like real high. There's a big lip. So if you were doing this on a patio and it was adjoining another surface, I would take that lip down so you don't grab it. So for that, you just do some of that. It's what?
Don't you have another one of those around here?
I do.
All right, this stuff.
It's not super important that you go with the grain. Like, it's not really gonna show, except for unless you do something like that. There we go. Yeah, gracias.
De nada.
Yeah, I should talk about how you lay out your patio. Okay, so I like to start in the middle with a chalk line, and that way when there's two people, you can work on both sides of the line, like going like that. If you start at the edge of your patio, you're both on the same side and it takes longer, but it's still the same thing. So, and then also, if this is your patio, and let's say like that's your house right there, you want to measure the width of your patio. If our grain's going this way, I measure like across the planks this way, because you want to make sure you're going to have not like a 2-inch plank at the end. Like if you start at one end and go all the way to the end and then you have a 2-inch plank, it looks weird. So
Like flooring, basically.
yeah, just think about it. Yeah, plan that out. Usually if I do have a small halfy board, I'll put it by the house and not on the front end. This board does kind of move a little bit. No, it's good. So then you just take this and, oh wow, that works real good actually. Does anybody want to do this? And just drag it all the way back. You don't have to push very hard. We just want to expose that
See, I done
black.
messed up.
It's okay. That's just a splinter of your wood.
Oh wow. That was black. Oh,
Yeah.
sure, that is awesome.
Yep, go all the way down and then just bring it back, 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 back.
Okay, so all the lines are, and then you add in your.
Yeah. On a job, you want to start with a chalk line in the middle. That way, one guy goes that way. Okay. It's starting to look like wood.
Dude, this is where it starts changing.
Yeah. When we cut those cross ones is when it really.
I didn't really notice that. I mean, I noticed the grain, but it's starting to look like wood.
Yeah. I can't wait for the stain to hit these knots.
Do you have a rhyme or reason to, or you just kind of eyeball?
I do. So I go by like how big the patio is. If it was, let's say it's like big patio, 600 square feet, I'll basically divide it into sections this way. So if I had a section right here where, like an imaginary line, all the lines on this side would be close to that line, but never on it, and they would never line up with each other. But I'd have a bunch over here, a bunch over there, a bunch over there, yeah. So get something that's a 90 degree so that you don't have your lines going wonky. And I would pick spots, maybe where that line is showing through would be a good one right there. Just line it up, line this thread edge to this one, and then it should be 90 degrees. Now, where's the score tool? Yes, okay. I learned this the hard way. So when you're scoring your lines this way, don't go all the way to the edge because it will slip and you'll mark over here. So you go, yeah, just go shy of the end. And then also what I like to do is I like to score the end cuts a little bit fatter, just so that they stand out more. And then I'll start over on this side.
Oh, so you're saying always pull to the center?
Yes.
Okay.
Always
So
pull to the center. It's hard. But as many as I've cut in my life, and I've cut a lot of these, I still will slip if I don't do it this way.
Yeah, smart.
And then looks like that. And then so now the next one I'm gonna put somewhere in this area. And doesn't really matter where. I just don't like my cuts to be this close to each other. I want them to be further than at least that. And I don't want my cuts being within this of the edge because you don't want a little piece of board. Looks weird. So maybe like there would be the minimum. And since this is such a small one, thank you.
Kind of just alternate them like.
Yeah.
boring.
I'd probably put one, on one row I'd put one cut, the next row I'd put two cuts. One cut, two cut. And then if you want to put nail holes, you just do this.
Oh.
And you have a nail hole.
Oh, it's because it's going to give you almost a perfect circle.
Yeah.
Tricky, because I was like, hold on. I was like, why didn't we do that before? Oh, yeah, now I see why.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah. Except for now that I've done that, we kind of have to do it to all of them. We don't have to. We could just
Make
have.
some real long planks.
Yeah. We could just have nails on some. So I'll let you guys decorate this thing. Wherever you think a nail would logically be.
Is this good?
Yeah, don't overthink it. Wherever your feelings tell you to put it, put it.
That's good.
The less perfect you try to make wood look, the more perfect it looks. You can also, like, since we have nail holes, it kind of goes with the rustic look, you can put scratches and stuff in it too. And then when we stain it, it looks really good.
Big?
No, that'll work. Wow, you have some nice wood.
Thank you. I hear that one.
That's something you can't tell for.
Sorry, we're day 2. We're into the dirty jokes.
We're all friends now.
Yeah, day 1, we're like figuring each other out. Day 2, we're.
Like, hello, I'm very professional.
Day 3, we gotta send everyone home. Dude, I didn't even think of these nail holes. Man, they look cool.
Cute, huh?
Super cute.
It's not what I was going for, but you know.
Yeah.
So you don't measure it out like, say, you've got an 8-foot plank, like an 8-foot flooring plank. You just
When I first started, I did because I was nervous and stuff. But it looks faker. It looks fake for some reason. Yeah,
too precise.
it's too precise.
Too, yeah. And probably the bigger area, the more you pick up the pattern.
Yeah. When I started doing it just by my feelings, they came out way better.
there you go.
I usually use a framing square, yeah. Those are perfect.
I got a speed square. You want a speed square?
Well,
I got like 10 of them.
I think we're too late now. We can use them for the sample boards.
All right.
Can you put just a sealer over this, or do you need the stain on it?
No, you can put just sealer.
I mean, if you wanted that white, like
Yeah.
washed out deck look.
Yeah, if you want like a whitewash look. So I would just use maybe like a little gray on it, or.
No,
I guess we'll find it out when we
actually,
see
when you put sealer on this, it's gonna turn like beige.
Oh, okay.
So it won't be white. So I would stain it with white if you're gonna do the whitewash look.
Dude, just like that, all of a sudden it really looks like a.
Cute. Good job, guys.
What's next?
So this is a water-based stain. We're just throwing it in the water.
Yes, water-based stain.
Eyeballing it, or is there measurements?
we're eyeballing it.
Perfect. You want a stick to stir?
Yes, we need a
You
stir
like
stick.
lots?
No,
Okay.
thank you. All right. With color recipes, where I can tell everyone exactly how much water to get exactly what color. I don't have that yet because I always change it. I always eyeball it. So what I do is I start with the maximum or the minimum dilution. You can't put this down straight. It has to be diluted. You have to at least mix 3 quarts of water with 1 quart, so it's 3 to 1. If it's the small bottle, it's 3 small bottles worth of water to 1. That's the maximum or minimum dilution. And then you can dilute it more from there. So if you do the minimum dilution, the 3 to 1, it's going to look like paint. Like it's going to be not very transparent at all. When you dilute it more, it looks like watercolors. And you can layer watercolors, and it's really pretty. Make sure you shake the stuff really well, the pigments settle. So I've got, in this, I have 3.5 quarts. I'm going to add about half of this bottle. 3 to 1 is minimum dilution.
Okay, minimum.
Yeah. So this is what, like 6 to 1?
What is that, a quart?
This is 3.5 quarts.
On your hand.
Yeah. So half a quart of this to 3.5 quarts of water is what, like,
6 to 1.
is that 6 to 1? Okay.
6 point something.
They didn't teach me math at art school.
So this will be just one color?
This is going to be one color, but different dilutions,
Oh,
so that you can
perfect.
see
So
how
that's where you get
layering, yeah. On the first coat that we do, I want it to be a little bit darker. We're going to brush in our details. So I always do the first coat with the more opaque mix. And then the second coat is the super transparent mix.
Makes sense, you do this, that second, and this is the first coat.
Yeah, right.
When you say mixing our details, what do you mean by that?
Like we'll take a little brush, yeah, and we'll just draw lines. Yeah, to give it a little bit of character. There we go. That looks good. And as you're staining, the pigments will settle. So you have to mix it up as you go. Like every now and then, just spin your tool around in your bucket. Now on a patio that's real big, if you go crazy in one corner with just detailing it, you're kind of stuck doing the thing on the whole. So what I'll do is I'll do a line here, then I'll go to the other side of the patio, do one, and I'll bounce around and fill them in so that I can quit at any time, you know?
So you're not getting too carried away on one side.
Yeah, you don't get
Like,
locked
hold on,
in
yeah.
with too much detail. All right, so everyone's gonna do some of these details. Whoops. Okay, so what you're saying is if I have 2 people doing the details,
Like if you've got a talented guy like
Yeah.
Bronson doing it and I'm over here and he's going like, what the heck are you
right,
doing?
so what I would do with that, instead of having him do half the patio and you do half the patio, because then they don't match, you guys just bounce around each other, so your 2 styles are spread out throughout the whole thing. So it's fine if you do it differently, as long as it's all over the patio. Perfect wood is not good wood. Like I've done them very precise and perfect before, and I never liked them. They always come out better when something went wrong, like I stripped something or, you know, somebody messed up something. It always adds to the character. So don't get married to it being perfect. Okay, so I'll show you a couple of ways that I do it. So we put the stain in there, get a little bit on your brush. And when I do this, normally I'll have a brush taped to a stick, and I'll just on a big patio because I'm old and I can't bend over all the time. But if you wanted to hand brush them in, just start at the cut line, and then see how it dry brushes as you go. As you lose stain on your brush, then you're just getting the top, and it's not going down in there. Now where you start, it's gonna be real solid. It's getting the whole thing.
Now, if you were doing a big area, all one color, could you use a roller, or would that just apply too much?
No, a roller won't. You won't get the streaky look that.
It'd be uniform.
Yeah. Oh, see, I dripped. So then I'm just gonna. Whoop. And there's no rhyme or reason. The whole point of this is just to not paint the whole board. Just paint part of the board. Because this is just an accent. So you can paint half the board, you can paint down the middle, and then on the other one, I would start, so I did this one on this board, so I would do like this section so that they look different. It helps them pop out from each other. You get super artsy. So a lot of like triangle shapes are good, so I'll start skinny sometimes and then start making my brush fatter as I go down. And you can do a couple of those. You know, just play with it. If you need inspiration, look at that wall. All right. Here's one.
Not to paint the whole board.
Yeah, don't paint the whole board. And you don't even have to do this to every board. When I'm doing it professionally for someone else, I don't do every board because it takes a long time.
Gotcha.
So I'll do about 30%, and then we'll just flood coat the rest, just to keep it going fast. At my own house, I did every board.
Did you?
Yeah.
So there's the speed aspect of getting the job done quickly.
Yeah. If it's your personal residence and,
Well, we're doing every board.
you
Mitch.
know, yeah, let's do every board. Let's practice. Like, that's what this is all about.
So if you're doing a new pour,
Mm-hmm.
and would you have, even if it was like, you know, slab for interior, would you have them just brush coat the concrete? when
Yes.
they pour?
So if you're having new concrete poured, the best finish they can do is a rough brush finish in the direction you want your green to go. Yeah.
I did it right.
Good job. And then on the next coat, we'll use this, and we'll just use a lot of stain, and it'll go real fast. So this will be next. Need some volunteers to make it pretty. Everyone's gonna do some.
Let me get mine out the way so
Yeah.
I can throw it in the
That's a good.
Maybe we started this end and come this way, so as we go in, we're not like kneeling on other stain, you think?
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, let's work this way backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You wanna do some?
Go ahead.
You wanna do some? Here you go.
I'm gonna grab some of these jobs. You wanna come deal with me?
Sure.
All right, cool.
Do you want me to take that to a stick?
No, it's
Okay.
Now, would you go in and kind of darken up some of the knots?
Try it, see what happens. Any details that I want to show, I do on this step, because the next step is just flooding it with color.
You're trying to be a painter.
I like
that's what I'm saying. My brain's not.
No, you're doing great. This is really good. Skinny, fat, skinny,
Okay.
skinny to fat. Just vary it so it's not a perfect 3-inch rectangle. Oh, it's teamwork. Look at this. They're doing it like relay race style.
It's hurting my brain.
Here you go.
Watching the whole thing. I'm like, okay, I got.
I'm not trying to change this. You'll see.
I know. I just brain's not comprehending that painting the whole thing so far.
No worries. Like that's gonna look cool. So, Bronson, you gotta do some. Let's see how a wood artist makes fake wood. Move this bucket out of your way. They don't hold it. Yeah. We can put one on a stick too, if you need to.
So you were saying if we wanted to show like the knots, it's best to hit it at this level.
The knots are gonna darken anyways by themselves, so I don't usually paint in the knots. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's not gonna look bad. Dang. All
You
right.
do every board.
I like this brush.
I do too.
And you get to stand up.
Move this before I step in it.
I don't think it'll work as good going forwards. I think you have to pull it back.
Oh, for sure. Oh, I like that.
That's the ticket.
What's up, Mike?
Hi.
Go back around lunch.
Maybe one over here.
So If you dribble, you just kind of brush it off.
Yeah, did I dribble?
No.
Okay.
I did, but I just left it.
But
like
I
you were
will.
saying, 'cause it's like it just makes
If it's like a splash, like it obviously splashed, or you know, it doesn't look like a knot or anything, I'll wipe it in.
See, to me, that just looks like a wood rod.
Yeah. Sometimes it has like that splash look. I don't like that. Anybody want to try this brush? Yeah? Yeah? This one? Oh, sorry, I didn't see. So I'm only dipping just a tiny bit of the bristles in. That's rad.
It makes it look like the grains.
I really like that brush.
I also like this.
Yeah. And it's the perfect exact width, yeah.
You gotta make sure to always cut your things to the width of that.
Yeah.
back here, that go.
That was lucky. And it kind of looks like you hand
Yeah.
brushed every single one. So those ones I did link to the Amazon tools on the page.
So your first page, web page, Facebook page.
Website where you buy all the stuff in the shop. Yeah, thank you. So right now it kind of looks crazy. This is usually where my clients start freaking out. Yeah, where they start losing confidence, like, are you sure you did all the ones that I saw pictures of? And you just have to remind them and trust the process. I always tell them the first coat of stain is gonna look ugly, the second coat of stain is gonna look better, but still ugly. The first coat of sealer is gonna look blotchy. The second coat of sealer is gonna look amazing. So yeah, it's gonna come all together. And so you have to manage the anxiety that they're gonna have, because it's gonna look real bad before it looks good.
Real bad?
Well, if someone came to my house,
Like he just did.
yeah, if I paid someone $5,000 and I came out and it looked like this, I would probably have a panic attack. So you just have to let them know before you do this that it's gonna look weird and then really good. Yes, it's darkest before the dawn, exactly. This is a deck stain pad from like Home Depot or whatever. It has like the sponge thing on it. This is good because it doesn't like flick water up on the, like if you're next to a house. So the other brush I use, because I've never used that before, is a car wash brush, and it's like that, but it's not as soft. And then when you go towards the wall and like lift up, it flicks. So it's a little bit tricky to get used to. Yeah, this one is a lot easier to use, but you have to dip it often, more often than the car wash brush. I'm interested to see that one in action. So every now and then, just mix up your bucket of stain with your tool that you're using, because it does settle to the bottom pretty fast. All right. Yeah, we're just mopping the floor. We're going to put down a lot of stain. Now that's wood. And you just kind of scrub it in a little bit. I'm going to get these drips before they go too permanent. And you just scrub them in with the grain direction. It's best to put your bucket right where you're working, so you don't get those drips.
Now it's starting to look like wood.
It's wood. So those little details we did are going to be subtle, but they will show.
Hey, someone carved their name in ours.
Someone did.
Right over here, like someone had a heart. They carved their name with
The nerve. Yeah, so your helper will like move your bucket around for you and cut in around stuff for you. All right, so just want to make sure all the white gets coated on this step. You want to do like long, your final stroke should be like a long stroke. If you do your whole patio like this, it's gonna look weird. So try to do long, yeah.
Dipping it all
Yeah.
You're trying to get a lot of
On this one, we're putting a lot of stain down. That way we don't have any white spots left.
And we translucent this one, right?
Yeah, this one's pretty. This one's 6-1, I think. No,
No, we were 6 to 1 to start, right?
Yeah, 6 months beginning.
I didn't add any more water. It's the same. Oh my God, I love this. That's the one.
Is that better?
This is awesome.
Seems like you don't get all the friction from
Yeah, and it holds a lot of stain. Look at that. You can just mop it in.
I guess you had on like, almost like the aerator shoes or spike shoes or something.
aerator.
Yeah, they're spike shoes. What video is that? We have one.
There was some guy who's doing it inside.
Oh yeah, inside. Yes. So that was the Sean Dennison video. Those are spike shoes that are normally used for epoxy. He does his system differently. So he does epoxy as the base coat with sand in it.
Dennison does?
Yeah.
Oh, for the primer?
Yep. This looks so good. All those lines we painted in are very subtle, but it's gonna pop when that sealer goes on. Hold on. Hold on, let's put the bucket right next to the line that you're gonna go on. Now you don't have much time, so you straighten that out to the end. There you go. It soaks in within like a minute. You gotta go fast, yeah. That brush is awesome.
What's the name of that brush?
I don't know. It's on my Amazon stuff. I think it's called a deck. It's like a deck brush. Yeah, for staining decks. All right, and then, so the helper would then move the bucket to the next row for her. Put it right next to the row you're working on so you don't get those drips. The less perfect, the better. That's why I love this so much more than epoxy.
Yeah, because epoxy's the opposite.
Yeah,
The less perfect, the more angry they are.
the more angry, the less paid you get.
Yeah.
Man, that brush is amazing. So that brush was like $16, I think. All the tools are less than 20 bucks. So it doesn't cost really anything if you wanted to start like a side gig or even a whole business just doing this. I think the biggest expense you'll have is advertising.
And then the next coat would just need the new.
Yeah. There's no next coat. Well, the next coat is sealer, and the sealer just popped the color.
Also, when you say two stains, first thing is your RC code.
Right.
And this one.
Or what you can do is make both coats the flood. This is called a flood coat because we're flooding it with color. They can both be flood coats, and they're both transparent, so you'll still get some stuff. But yeah, if you want it more uniform, you would do it the other way with 2 flood coats.
That is awesome. Dude, the freaking
Right?
spots and the scratches,
Yeah.
that looks legit.
That's what I like. I like the scratches.
So do I. I wish I did more.
If you wanted to get fancy when this dries, you could put like some grays here and there and
want
make
to
it
be
match with
fancy.
that. You want to?
Just a little, put some highlights.
Do it.
Maybe with age.
Yeah.
I'll see some of that kind of
Make
brush
some
off.
of the boards just gray like this. Match it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time to seal this. The stain is completely dry. We are indoors, so we have set up a fan, we have the doors open, and I'm gonna wear a respirator. Nobody else is gonna be in here for this because it's fumy. You wanna make sure before you seal that your stain is completely dry, so there's no moisture left. This has been dry for at least a couple hours. I'm gonna pour the sealer into the paint bucket and just roll it out. First coat of sealer, I always roll across the grain so that it gets down into the grooves really well. Second coat, I'll go in the same direction as the grain. So I'll just do that right now, and here we go. So once you finish your first coat, you want to let it dry for an hour or two, depending on your weather. Once it is dry to the touch and it's not sticky, then you're good to put on your second coat.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as we enjoyed making it. If you want to come out and learn hands-on in Las Vegas on how to do this exact same procedure, check out the link below. We'd love to have you. Also remember, we don't ask for any money from you, but we do ask for 3 things. Subscribe to this channel, like this video, and ring the bell so that you're the first to find out all the new information.
The naughty artisan. The naughty artisan.